Friday afternoon in a bustling school, and Mrs. Green, a dedicated teacher, is swamped with lesson plans, grading papers, and prepping for the week ahead. The weight of her responsibilities feels overwhelming. The passion she once had for teaching is being replaced by a never-ending cycle of stress and exhaustion. She loves her students, but the pressure of balancing school demands with personal struggles at home has left her feeling drained. Her classroom is alive with energy, students chatting and laughing, unaware of their teacher's internal struggle. She gives it her all, but in the back of her mind, she can't help but feel the burnout creeping in. Mrs. Green longs for a break, a moment to breathe, and to feel recognized. She pours her heart into every lesson, but it's as though her tireless efforts go unnoticed by those around her. Despite the love she has for her students, the emotional and mental toll of teaching has become a burden she can no longer carry alone. It's just another typical day when suddenly the door to her classroom opens. Mrs. Green looks up in surprise, and there, standing in the doorway, is none other than Keanu Reeves. The class falls silent, their playful chatter quickly replaced by stunned silence. Keanu walks in, his warm smile lighting up the room, holding a box in his hands. Mrs. Green blinks, unsure if she's imagining things. Keanu, noticing her shock, calmly steps forward and places the box on her desk. "I hope you don't mind," he says. "I brought some cupcakes for the class. And for you, I just wanted to say thank you." The students, already buzzing with excitement, crowd around the box of cupcakes, but Mrs. Green's gaze stays fixed on Keanu. He takes a moment to speak directly to her, his voice steady and sincere. "You don't hear it enough," he continues, "but you make a bigger difference than you realize. You're appreciated." Her eyes widen, and in that instant, something shifts inside her. For the first time in weeks, the weight she's been carrying seems a little lighter. Kina's words, though simple, are filled with profound truth. She feels seen. She feels valued. And for the first time in a long while, Mrs. Green smiles. The room fills with laughter as the students eagerly devour the cupcakes, passing them around with excitement. But for Mrs. Green, the moment feels almost surreal. The sight of Keanu Reeves, someone she never imagined would step foot in her classroom, leaves her with a deep sense of gratitude. His simple gesture of bringing cupcakes and offering words of appreciation is enough to make her feel truly seen, something she hasn't felt in ages. Keanu doesn't crave the spotlight. He doesn't seek praise. Instead, he shares a few stories with the students, offering glimpses into his own life and experiences. He keeps the mood light, engaging the class with warmth and humor. There are no grand speeches, no lofty declarations, just small, personal interactions that remind everyone how important they are. For Mrs. Green, this unexpected encounter is like a breath of fresh air. Her heart feels lighter, and the weight she's been carrying for so long seems less heavy. The exhaustion and stress that have clouded her mind for weeks begin to lift, and a spark of renewed energy flickers within her. Keena's kindness, though brief, has revived her spirit in a way no one else could have. As the class settles down, Keanu flashes Mrs. Green one last warm smile before he heads toward the door. "Keep doing what you do," he says softly, his words carrying a sincerity that fills the room. "You're making a bigger impact than you know." The door closes behind him, and the class resumes their chatter, but Mrs. Green stands still, her eyes fixed on the now empty doorway. The sound of the students fades into the background as she processes the unexpected kindness that has just been extended to her. In that brief, quiet moment, she feels something shift inside her, a spark of recognition, a validation that she didn't realize she was missing. The cupcakes, while sweet, were only a part of the gift. It was Kina's words, simple but powerful, that truly nourished her spirit. The acknowledgement of her hard work and dedication, something she rarely hears, fills her with warmth. She realizes that sometimes it's not the grand gestures or accolades that make a difference. Sometimes, all it takes is a single moment of recognition to reignite the passion that had slowly been fading. Mrs. Green smiles to herself, feeling a renewed sense of purpose and strength. As the week progresses, Mrs. Green begins to feel a shift within herself. There's a newfound sense of purpose in her teaching. She smiles more often, laughing with her students, and she starts taking small moments to recharge, something she hadn't allowed herself in a long time. She begins to truly recognize the impact she has on her students, understanding that her role goes far beyond grades and lesson plans. It's about the small moments of connection, the quiet ways she helps her students feel seen and valued, just like Keanu had made her feel valued. Even on days when everything feels like it's falling apart, she realizes she's making a difference in their lives. Keena's simple act of kindness becomes a reminder that appreciation, even in its simplest form, holds immense power. It can transform lives, ignite change, and lift spirits when everything feels overwhelming. His words, his quiet acknowledgement, serve as a beacon to her and to the class, a reminder that the smallest gestures of kindness and gratitude have the potential to make all the difference. Mrs. Green now carries that lesson with her, feeling stronger and more connected to the work she loves. Keanu Reeves, with his humble nature, has shown time and time again that kindness doesn't need to be flashy. It's in the small moments like bringing cupcakes to a classroom or telling a teacher she's appreciated that change happens. He didn't need to make a grand gesture or draw attention to himself. He just needed to be present and show that someone, somewhere, sees the hard work being put in. In a world where recognition is often fleeting and praise is rare, Kinu's message is clear. Sometimes, all it takes is acknowledging someone's efforts to remind them of their worth. Mrs. Green's story isn't just hers. It's a story that so many of us can relate to. And Keanu, through his quiet, meaningful actions, has taught us all the power of a little kindness. Keanu Reeves' gesture wasn't just about cupcakes or a few words of encouragement. It was about making someone feel like they matter. In a world that often moves too fast, his ability to pause and offer such heartfelt kindness is a lesson we all could stand to learn. His message of appreciation reminds us that small acts of kindness, whether in the form of words, a gesture, or simply taking the time to show you care, can make a world of difference.